Hi guys, this is SamDoesArts, but he doesn't need an introduction, unless he does. If you don't know who he is, leave this video right now and go watch his videos because they're great, you'll learn so much from him. But in this video, basically I'm going to try and draw in his style and learn some of his incredible techniques. So I hope you enjoy and maybe learn or feel inspired. So my main takeaway from his art style is that when you're zoomed out, it looks really three-dimensional and like, wow. But when you zoom in, it's hand-drawn. You can see his sketch is still there. You can see the digital brush strokes. So it looks very refined from afar, and obviously he puts loads of work into it. But when you get closer, you can see the workings of the drawing, like it's in a raw state. He also simplifies and stylizes everything slightly, but it still looks natural. For example, there's a clear separation from light and dark and a perfect balance of smooth and hard edges in his shadows. Another very iconic part of his art style is how bright the colours are. They're very saturated. And they shift between different hues quite a lot. So, for example, the skin isn't just one shade of orange. It goes more red, more blue, more cool, more warm. So he really manipulates colour to make the lighting look lifelike. And then there's the proportions, which are a slightly more realistic version of, like, Disney faces, I would say. I think he has said that he's inspired by the stylization of Disney characters, so yeah. Okay, ramble over. So as you can see, I started with the sketch. The way he does his sketches are very simple, very clean. He outlines the shape of the face, the features, and then moves on to filling it in with colour and rendering. It helps mark where things are going to go, but it's more of a guide than the final piece. This can be quite difficult if you don't have very good knowledge of anatomy and face structure, and if your fundamental drawing skills in general could use some work. So I found it quite difficult. I definitely messed around a lot more than Sam does when he's drawing. In fact, my entire process was a lot less linear than his because this is my first time trying to really draw like this. I chose for her to be hugging her pet owl Ziggy because Sam did a lot of drawings of girls like with animals like birds and cats, so I thought this would be a really good opportunity to do that. After the sketch, you want to fill it in with the base colours, so no light, no shadow yet, and then you go on and do shadow and light. For me personally, I like to use a multiply layer and use kind of a warm grey in multiply to do the shadows, but I think Sam sometimes chooses the colours for the shadows himself, but I much prefer to just use a multiply layer with a warm grey tone because I just find it easier. I'm not very good at picking colours. Hopefully one day I will be better. So I then proceed to struggle a lot with rendering her face. I didn't have a reference at this point, and you can clearly tell because the shadows are not defined, the features are not defined. I had no idea what to do with the nose, and yeah, it just did not go well. But it did get better. It gets better. Oof, look at that nose. It just was not going well at this point. Here we go. Here I start again with the rendering, and I think I dull the shine on her face a bit, and I really tried when I was doing the shadows to make, like, not go too much into the details, identify the key shadows, so if you kind of squint, that's the shadows that you can see on her face. That's what I'm talking about, so that there's a clear separation between light and dark, and it's simplified and easy to understand and draw. So after I've got those key shadows blocked out, those key shapes, I can then go in and focus on the smaller shadows, the smaller details, the smaller highlights. Only around the significant places though, so the eyes, the nose, the mouth. So this helps to draw the eye to these places by making them more realistic than the rest of the face, and also it's a lot of work to draw the entire face in a lot of detail, and this kind of gives it more character because some of it's simplified and some of it's not quite as simplified, which I really like personally. I also tried to make some hue variation in the shadows, so make it warmer, make it cooler. I think I tried to like reflect the light from the owl onto her skin a bit as well, and vice versa. And yeah, one thing I really enjoyed doing was putting that little highlight on the eye. He always puts just one small dot on the eye and it's so satisfying. In terms of brushes, so I was using Procreate, so I mostly used the 6B pencil brush and the soft round brush and the hard round brush. That's mostly what Sam does, so that he can focus on the drawing and not be distracted by loads of different textures. However, he does incorporate a little bit of texture with the rake brush to give it a more comic book feel, maybe? I'm not sure, it just gives it a bit of texture. You can see that I did that around the hair and a bit on the jaw, I think. No, not the jaw, the cheekbone. And yeah, this is me going in with the final details. Everything's quite simple, so her hair isn't very detailed. It's kind of just the shape and colour that hair would be. And then you can imagine the details yourself without looking too closely. I felt like it didn't have quite enough pizzazz for one of Sam's drawings, so I added some rim lighting around it last minute, which doesn't really make sense to the lighting scenario, but oh well. And here's the final piece. I'm really pleased with it, even though now that I look at it I can see so many mistakes, but that happens to the best of us. If you have any questions, please ask. I hope maybe I inspired you to try drawing like Sam yourself, because it was a really good opportunity to learn. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.